I was in Sandstone Federal Correctional Institution in Minnesota. It's a low-security facility that houses mostly nonviolent offenders, white-collar criminals who commit their robberies with gold-plated pens and computer spreadsheets and snake their way through the SEC systems with the hope of getting away clean. In addition to the financial hustlers, crooked politicians, and their bagmen, there were also people like me at Sandstone, confidential witnesses who testified in court against their former criminal associates. We weren't white-collar guys. Some people call Sandstone and places like it white-collar country clubs, and in some ways, that's accurate, at least compared to the Supermax facilities. At least in Sandstone. You don't have the hardcore gangsters, the unrepentant racists, the cold-blooded killers, and the various sociopaths that could go off without warning like a stick of dynamite. You don't have to fight for your life. In my case, I'd like to say it was doing easy time, but it wasn't. The real prison I inhabited wasn't Sandstone. It was my own conscience. It was the guilt. Although I am now technically free, I still carry my prison with me. There's no escape from this one. There's no crashing through the wall or even receiving a pardon. In every legal way, I've paid my debt, done my time, and fulfilled all the obligations of testifying against the people who set me out to kill. But the freedom that most people take for granted, the freedom of an easy conscience, is something that I'll never again experience. My handler at the time, Steve Duncan, was one of the first people in law enforcement who I could talk to and not feel like he was just trying to get some more information out of me for his case. By 2008, I'd spent a lot of time with him. He spent time with my parents and helped to get them someplace safe out of the reach of the Arellano-Félix assassins. One day, I asked him if it would be okay for me to try to write a letter to the survivors of the people I killed and the ones who survived my attempt to murder them. He thought about it for a while, and then said he thought it was a good idea. Not that it would reduce my sentence or get me any better deal with the U.S. attorney. That was all behind me at that point. My deal had been made. I knew I would be getting out of prison by a certain date, and there was nothing I would get out of this except, hopefully, to communicate my sense of remorse to the people I wronged. There's no manual on how to do this. I started and stopped a number of times, and I tore up the first few tries because it literally made me sick to think of the harm I'd done. But those people deserved something. This letter is addressed to all those whose lives I've affected personally, as well as all humanity. I apologize for not addressing you by name, but I don't feel worthy of that intimacy. Please don't mistake my humility for lack of respect. My name is Martin Corona, and I am a murderer. It's something I live with daily in shame and disgust. I once worked for the Arellano-Félix drug cartel. I served as one of their many puppets who were dispatched at the whim of the Arellano brothers to take the lives of those who pose a threat to their business. I can begin by saying I'm sorry, but I can't help wonder what would that mean to me if someone took one of my loved ones away. I don't seek forgiveness or empathy, only an opportunity to tell you that I despise the man that I was and whom I must face each morning when I look in the mirror. I may have had a change of heart in my life, but it's still the same evil some of your loved ones had to look upon as they drew their last breath. There is nothing I can do to repay the sins I've committed. I can literally offer you my life, and that's one thing I would freely lay down if it would reverse the past. I've tried to take it by my own hands on more than one occasion, but for some reason, I've been spared. My other alternative is to continue the mission that I've set for myself. That is, to speak out against the people and the beliefs that I once claimed loyalty to. I never had any personal intention to harm you or anyone. I never woke up one day and decided to go on a killing spree. I'm sorry, is all I have to say. Respectfully, Martin Corona. Duncan forwarded the letter to some of the people I indicated. Most of them did not respond. One of them, a young female, contacted Duncan and told him she would like to meet me one day, but not just yet. Not enough time had passed, and she wasn't ready to relive the nightmare I'd put her through. But the one thing that she wanted me to know was that she forgave me. She didn't blame me. I'll tell you, it was the first time in decades that I was truly humbled and felt like a member of the human race again. To know that at least in her eyes, I wasn't this subhuman monster seemed to lift at least a little of my guilt. It wasn't long after her response that I began thinking about writing about my life. If I could make her understand, it was possible to make other people see that evil isn't always forever.